It's Saturday, Overwatch fans. Welcome to the fourth weekend of the 2019 Overwatch League season. We are live in Los Angeles, California with 4 awesome matches coming your way today. The hometown Los Angeles Valiant are back to work in search of their first win. LA fell short in their first match to Philly on Thursday, and they'll get a 7th chance at a win today as they take on Houston. The Outlaws have won 2 of their last 3 matches coming into today, and they'll try to get back to 500 by sending the Valiant home with a winless Stage 1. That match is just 30 minutes away. Welcome inside the Blizzard Arena, everybody, where fans are making their way in. We are here to get you set for all the action. It's the Watchpoint pre-show presented by State Farm. I'm your host, Chris Puckett, and I'm joined by an awesome desk. We've got Professor Christo in the building. We've got Obi-Wan, the Padawan, Mr. Brenobi as well as our fantastic fashionable mime, as always, Zoe. Either just breaking out of jail or doing...
Gio's going to have to mime all of her analysis on this desk
right
now, too. It's an extra challenge.
We're trying to say nice things, right, today? So, all right, let's get right into it. We've got a super fun show planned for you guys. Our Stage 1 playoff race is heating up. Several teams taking the stage today will be trying to take one step closer to punching their tickets. Plus, the New York Excelsior completed a perfect 7-0 season last night. Jonak and Nene have some strong words for the people who doubted them. And we've got a very special report from our Watchpoint World News division on a dangerous outbreak of C9 taking place in the league right now. Once the keyboards get cooking, though, on the stage, you'll see the LA Valiant take on the Houston Outlaws. The Seoul Dynasty will face off against the wingless Washington Justice, and we'll end the day with the Hangzhou Spark versus the Toronto Defiant. But our most interesting matchup is that third battle. We got the Guangzhou Charge, who are tied for 6th place and currently in our top 8 for the Stage 1 playoffs. The LA Gladiators had a huge bounce-back match against the Atlanta Reign earlier this week. And before that, Bren, you guys talked about the Gladiators' struggles, and things seem to be working a little bit better now.
Yeah, they absolutely do, Puckett. I think the Gladiators have made absolutely ridiculous improvements. I can't remember the last time I've seen a team do a 180 in such a short time period.
London in the playoffs.
Yeah, sure, Monty. All right. Immediately, it's 5 minutes into the broadcast show, mate. He's already proved me wrong. Listen, the fact of the matter is that they managed to fix up so many of these core issues, which was resource usage, positioning. They were out of sync consistently all over the place. But in this match against the Atlanta Reign, they just turned it all around. It seemed like everything clicked like the way we expected them to initially coming into the season. So I'm very happy to see that they have managed to turn it around. And one stat I do want to point your attention to, the one just below me here, is that their win percentage, their team fight win percentage, 46.5% before that, and now 66, an increase of 20% with their team fight win percentage. Absolutely absurd.
Looking much, much stronger this week. On the other side, Monty, we have to talk a little bit about this Charge squad. They only had 1 match to prepare for this week. How do you expect them to face off against the Gladiators today? Who's dangerous on this team?
I mean, I think one of the biggest storylines for Guangzhou has been their flex support player, Shu, obviously getting a lot of playtime on the Ana as well and doing very impressively. But look at this Zen versus Zen statistics. He has eliminated 19 enemy Zenyatas to just 3 eliminations from enemy Zenyatas onto him, which is an absolutely crazy stat, and he's certainly #1 in the league. So his ability to instantly pick off the enemy Zen is something we'll need to be looking at very closely, because that can just basically instantly win you a team fight.
I just love hyping up Shu, but generally I think that team is kind of stacked actually. They have a lot of great individual performances which we have seen. However, something we did have to criticize was their, let's say, tendency to just move forward. They didn't seem to know how a disengage actually works. It was just W all the way, and that did cost them. They took fights they shouldn't have fought. So we did talk about that a lot. And turns out the Guangzhou Charge heard us. We called out their strats with the W. So, you know, they fixed their keyboards for us. And then they fixed it even more. So now we just have WWW.
Yes.
Yes. So, you know, we got you, Charge. We're not judging. I think that's the way to go. So keep it up.
The Charge social game has been absolutely on point. Now, if the Guangzhou Charge slip up today, the Seoul Dynasty is one team that is looking to jump into the stage playoff race. Seoul just can't seem to maintain any momentum, however, dropping both of their matches in week 3. So they sit currently at 2-1. and they are in 12th place. Today, they take on a Washington Justice squad that can't find any momentum at all and are 0-4 so far in the league with a league low of -9 map differential. So, Monty, let's talk about the Justice first. What's going wrong for this squad? Why are they struggling so much?
Well, Puckett, they're terrible. That's why they're struggling so much. They're just bad. But to be specific about how bad they are,
thank you.
Right now we're looking at, I think this is their biggest problem right now, is that they're at a 33.5% team fight win percentage, which is 9% lower than the next two teams in the league.
That's half of the Gladiators from your previous stat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where you're looking at this and you have to say something has to start going right with this team. They have, and I don't think it's actually the coaching because they seem to be showing up in the right places on maps. It's the execution after they get there that I think is the biggest problem.
Got to work on that execution. The Dynasty had high hopes entering their season with a new main tank, Bren. What have you seen from Seoul so far, and do you expect them to have success with Fissure in this lineup?
Mr. Fisher, he seems a bit hit or miss, honestly, at the moment. And coming into these matches, as we've seen him play, we're expecting him to be the big carry, the Chad, if you like, of this team. Just hasn't been the case. I feel like he has had some very good moments. He's highly mechanically skilled. We've always, touted that when it comes to his main tank play in general, but the team just seems to be missing something. And it is just all over the place. You can see this is Fisher, and this is the Reinhardt she told you not to worry about, mate. Bumper. I mean, Fisher, he wishes he was Bumper on a regular basis. You know what I mean? Bumper's
I wish
in the
I
club.
was Bumper.
Bumper's in the club, Monty. He's doing 180 shatters off the high, mate, and he's slapping your partner's bottom, He doesn't care, bro. He doesn't care. Fisher wishes he was Bumper.
Disrespectful.
He is disrespectful.
Disrespectful.
Bumper is the most disrespectful, Ryan.
But he gets
it.
away with it. It's quirky.
I know.
I like it. Anyway, Seoul Dynasty recently made 2 new additions to their roster, and that means they officially now maxed out their roster. They have 12 players. I'm not quite sure why they felt like, oh, we need to pick another DPS up with Illicit as well as another support player with Highly. However, they did do so. Neither of those players had like big achievements underneath their belt. Highly used to play for the O2 team, that way around, in the Korean contenders, but there were no high placements to speak of for either of those players. So it's going to be interesting to see if they just felt like, hey, we need to maybe replace one of our support players, or I'm not quite sure. However, they won't be here for some time, so they still have some time to actually figure out their roster until then.
Welcome to the league, though, boys. One team that doesn't seem to miss when they sign a new player is the New York Excelsior. The NYXL roster looks unbeatable as they completed a perfect 7-0 stage with their win over the San Francisco Shock last night. They will either be the #1 or #2 seed coming into the Stage 1 playoffs, and as Jonak and Nene told us after the match, they're just getting started.
Give it up for NYXL. They have done it. Perfect stage, 7-0.
전승할 거라고는 예상 당연히 하고 있었고요. 그리고 전승에서 당연히 기분 좋고
그래도 힘든 경기도 조금 있긴 했는데 다 이길 것 같긴 했어요.
근데 다른 강팀들이랑 붙었다 해도 저는 전승했을 거라 생각합니다.
Having already clinched a spot in the stage playoffs, Mano was not lacking in confidence as he told me, quote, "We will win stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, we will win it all."
저는 만호 형 생각에 전적으로 동의하고 다 이길 겁니다.
물론 그렇게 하려고 노력은 하겠지만 뭐 현실적으로 봤을 때 저희도 언젠가는 질 수도 있다고 생각은 해요. 하지만 뭐 졌다고 해서 절대 뭐 멘탈 나가지 않고 더 열심히 준비해서 최대한 이기려고 노력할 거예요.
We talk so much about Jonak, Nene, and the tanks on this team, but quietly, Animo is one of the best statistical Lucios in the league so far. Aside from being top 3 in several major categories, Animo leads the entire league in eliminations to death ratio at 10.43. So Monty, how impressed have you been with the main support of this #1 seed?
I mean, I think Animo's been playing very well, and New York statistically just doesn't take a lot of damage. They're very good at minimizing the damage that they are going to be taking throughout a match, and Animo is a big part of that. So, I mean, he's not the flashiest player on this team for sure, but he's getting the job done, and most importantly, like you say, he's staying alive for a very, very long time. Stats have been a bit padded, though, by their strength of schedule, you have to say. You have to say that.
Yeah, I'll just add on to that as well by saying that Animo doesn't necessarily have to be the most flashy Lucio player in the world because of the playstyle that New York played. They're very good at disengaging. And at the end of the day, I mean, he's a fantastic mechanically skilled Lucio player. So, yeah, it's understandable. And as you said earlier, to your point, Monty, you know, a bit inflated statistically because New York are just that good and they've been playing against slightly worse teams.
I wish I had a Lucio who survived in my games. Let's fix that later, guys. All right, the NYXL are certainly the favorites to win Stage 1. And one of our international fan favorites this season is Hangzhou Spark's main tank, Gushui. We'll hear all about Gushui, including his surprising guarantee, in just a bit. This is the Watchpoint Pre-Show. The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. High ground or low ground, T-Mobile has you covered.
Gushui, who made such a big wave kind of around the world. This guy is just like a highlight machine.
大家好，我叫徐秋宁，我的游戏 ID 是孤雪，来自中国的四川。我现在在杭州闪电队。
Style for days. Of course, one of the superstars, their main tank Gushui. This guy, everyone was excited to see.
我是当时看到很多炉石主播都在玩死亡先锋，然后感觉挺好玩的，我就去试了一试。
This guy's known for his perfect primals, and he's showing it right here.
然后差不多后面分打的游戏分打得挺高的，后面很多别的队开始找我嘛。
Valiant need to respond. They need to stop the Spark from taking this. Goodbye, Kareev.
就第一次打世界杯，也是第一次出国打比赛，而且也是第一次打这么大的比赛。当时打这个比赛特别兴奋，所以当时发挥也特别好。
Gushui, obviously, his statistics are incredible.
Gushui just scattering across the entire map.
今年我们队会至少去争取进季后赛的。
Gushui has been splitting playing time with fellow main tank No Smite, and Gushui is the more damaging tank, but overall, they have pretty similar stats amongst the best Reinhardts in the league. Gushui and the Spark will battle the Toronto Defiant today, and Toronto is in the thick of the Stage 1 playoff hunt. A win today will go far towards locking up that playoff spot for Stage 1. The Spark need to start stacking up some wins of their own if they want to make good on Gushui's guarantee of a season-long playoff. Gushui played the entire match in their win against the Gladiators. So, Zoe, do you want to see him back today in the lineup in their matchup later?
Absolutely. I think he's been doing absolutely fantastic. If we're looking at the win rates of those teams with Gushui versus No Smite, it's actually quite a bit higher. We have a 60% win rate when Gushui is playing, and with No Smite, it was only 40%. And No Smite played an overall of 15 maps, whereas Gushui we only saw on 10 maps overall. Previously, before we saw the last match where he stayed in for the entirety of it, we only really saw him on control maps. I think that has partially to do with him not being able to communicate well with the team, and on a more brawly kind of map type like a control that worked out for them. But I do think they somehow managed to fix it. I don't know how, but the communication seems to be there. They seem to coordinated enough. So I think from here it can only go up.
We want to see the spark at the top of their game, especially going up against a tough opponent in the Toronto Defiant. Now, Bren, you look at the standings, Toronto's number 4 right now. I was a little bit shocked to see that after not knowing a whole lot about this team to start the week. Today, they have a chance of locking up a Stage 1 playoff spot. How do they get the job done?
There's one player in particular that I've been kind of focusing on a little bit, and that's Ivy, because this guy's come up. He's mechanically incredibly gifted. I'm not going to really comment on his ability to sort of place his grabs, because sometimes they've been a bit hit or miss again. His bubble placement also needs a bit of work, but mechanically, he is one of the better Zarya.
He shoots good.
He is fantastic. He shoots good. You don't need, a large cranium to shoot good at the end of the day. You can just kind of use your arm for that business. Big bicep muscles, all that things, But he's a fantastic player, I think. And individually, you can build around these star Zarya players in a lot of ways. You see it with the San Francisco Shock, and they have a lot of success building around aggressive Zarya players as a whole. But I think having a real good core player individually on this squad will do wonders for Toronto moving forward.
I think, though, that one of the issues is not that they aren't mechanically good or that they don't have veterans now that Neko has joined the active roster, but that they have been adapting in-game very poorly. If we think about their last match versus Chengdu, on Ilios, Toronto Defiant came in with a specific strat when they knew Chengdu was going to run a heavy DPS composition on Lighthouse, and they came in with the Moira. When we got to Volskaya, and Chengdu was running double Sniper A defenses, and then Torbjorn, Bastion, Reinhardt, Orisa B defenses, they looked super lost, and they straight up lost that map. So, I'm not sure where they're going with this, but if I'm going to come in against the Defiant, I'm going to throw some weird looks at them, because that's when they crumble in-game, when they're not prepared by their coaching staff for a particular strategy.
Let's make it weird. All right, that's Monty's predictions. We'll get his official prediction later on the show. And Gushue has a lot of fans worldwide, but the teams on our first match today always have a ton of fans here in the Blizzard Arena. The Los Angeles Valiant haven't been giving their fans much to cheer about yet, though, as they're currently sitting at 0-6, trying to avoid a winless Stage 1. The Houston Outlaws are starting to benefit from their experience and established chemistry, on the other hand, as they're trying to move to 3-3 today. So, Brent, who is the most important player for the Outlaws in today's matchup?
Most important player? Oh, it's up for debate. But for me, I always focus on Jake as the sort of leader for this team.
Captain America.
Exactly, Captain America. This guy, Houston Outlaws, what you need to understand about this squad is they're an emotional team. You can tell that on the stage. He's very pleased with that monitor right there. They got their win after quite some time of losing, so, I don't blame them. But, I definitely think that you need these sort of players, throughout human history, dare I say. You need these emotional leaders to really push people forward, push them forward, push the boundaries of what's possible. I don't want to big Jake up too much. He's probably listening to this right now on the backstage. He's probably recording the entire thing and posting it on Instagram for later. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think that he is a pretty good player. I wouldn't say the most important, but he's pretty good.
I asked you who the most important was. You gave me a pretty good one. I like
Skirt to the right. Yeah.
Thanks, Brent.
Now, see, the thing with that roster is, and that was an issue, quote unquote, already last season, their substitution strats. They've been swapping in and out players over and over and over. I did like what we saw recently from them. Linkster on that Zarya, that looked good for them. We also saw Bonnie back on stage. Second game he's playing, and I feel like someone just constantly throws his name into the goblet of fire, because he was not supposed to actually play that game. That happened already last year, where he accidentally was put on the list, and then without any preparation, as you can tell by his tweet, he had to play. They did win that match, so he's now on a 50% win streak in the 2 matches he played. But honestly, Houston Outlaws, he's not that hard to fill out that sheet. This is how it roughly looks like.
Yeah, Monkey can do it.
So here we go. I recreated this card that shows, it's a simulation of our roster submission sheet, okay? There are 6 boxes that every team submits. So all you have to do is say, check once, are there 2 main supports on this list? Are Bani and Boink here? It takes, I don't know, like a 6-year-old could probably do it. And you'd be surprised. Credit to the Outlaws for actually revealing this, because tons of teams have actually done this throughout our first 2 seasons of the Overwatch League. Figure it out, guys.
Thank you very much, Monty. I got to keep this show rolling. When we come back, we've got a special report. A 6-year-old's going to love it. It's on an epidemic that's sweeping the Overwatch League. You don't have to worry about us leaving the cart, though. It's the Watchpoint pre-show presented by State Farm. The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
This is a Watchpoint World News special report. We interrupt your favorite esports pregame show with an exclusive report on the recent outbreak of C9 in the Overwatch League. We are still gathering information on this dangerous situation that is reaching match-losing levels. Here is what we know so far. C9 is a crippling condition, causing one to leave the cart or point during overtime of a winnable fight or round. Symptoms include forgetting you're in overtime, urge to leave the point, and deep feelings of regret after doing so. It's been a while since this awful disease has reared its absent-minded head. The condition is named after its patient Zero, who caused the first outbreak in Seoul, South Korea. However, the most egregious instance of C9 came from the American team Immortals in Contenders Season 0. Our younger or more squeamish viewers may want to avert their eyes. Oh, that is gross. As vaccines for C9 have become less popular, cases of the condition are once again being reported, like this one by the Seoul Dynasty on Volskaya last weekend. For more on this troubling epidemic, we now go to Seoul, South Korea, where our reporter Zoe is live on the scene.
Thank you so much, Monty. The situation here in Seoul is not good, as another middling stage for the dynasty is being accentuated by this awful case of C9. I got to speak with several Korean fans here. Unfortunately, I do not speak Korean, so in hindsight, it was a bit of a dumb idea to actually send me over here for the report. However, they did seem very mad, and I can assure you that they hope for some changes here. In unrelated news, I did lose my passport last night in a karaoke bar, so I might be not back for work next week. Monty?
Oh, it's all right. We're already surviving without Sideshow. And I'm sorry to hear that. We've all had some rough nights in the Noraebang. Guess you could say you C9'd your passport. Elsewhere, the condition the military is referring to as Charlie Niner has also spread to the Shanghai Dragons. Youngjin left the card in overtime against the Dallas Fuel in Week 3. We now go to Bren, who is in Shanghai with more on this developing situation.
Thank you very much, Monty. Yep, there's no doubt that the epidemic is real. However, the locals here in Shanghai aren't all that upset about it. In fact, the fans told me that after losing about 42 straight matches, they're kind of used to this type of thing. And one fan said, quote, "Losing is like riding a bike, a really, really terrible bike that just keeps on breaking." So back to you in Los Angeles.
Exemplary reporting, Bren. No special report would be complete without an obligatory expert. Joining me at my desk is Mr. Chris Puckett from the Center for Point Control. What advice can you give for people who fear they may C9, Puckett?
Well, here at the CPC, the best advice we can give is if you see a C9, say C9. You should contact your local Twitch chat immediately and let those lulls and failfishes fly. Until we get this outbreak under control, we're instructing all Overwatch players to stay on the cart or point at all times if that overtime wick is burning.
Thank you, Puckett. This has been a Watchpoint World News special report.
We're running out of time, so let's take a look at our analyst predictions here for today. Monty likes the Valiant to get their first win over the Houston Outlaws. Everyone else is going for Washington. Bren is taking charge, and Monty has the spark. That's going to do it for Watchpoint. We'll see you live with more matches.